going on, guys? Ziesel here, coming back with another video. I know it's been a while since I've posted one. I'm sure you guys can tell my voice is a little funky today. I've been pretty sick, so haven't really felt up to making anything. Kind of getting better, but it's been rough. Haven't really been able to talk much. Just been coughing a lot and everything. So, but I did want to put something together for you guys. A lot of people were asking me what kind of items I ran, if I had like a tank build guide or anything like that. And so what I did during this time of me not being able to make videos, I did build something and kind of put something together for y'all. And obviously you can kind of see it here on the screen now. And I'll post the image or link in the YouTube video description. But we're going to call this Ziesel's tank build, okay? I know, cheesy, right? Super cheesy. But this is a progression build, and basically saying I've had the most success with this thus far. I'll provide my personal best in slot items at the end and items that can be farmed in the open world. And what I mean by that is there are items that I have crafted myself and items that maybe I have found on the auction house for a good deal, or I just thought I should have them during the time. And I know everyone can't do that, or everyone might not want to do that, or there's some people that don't want to buy anything and they want to grind everything. That is okay. There's a lot of different types of players on New World, and that's why I really like the game a lot. So I totally understand that. Or you may have bought other things and now you want to try out tank and you don't have any coin and you don't feel like you're like, I don't want to go and buy all this stuff. I just want to go get it. Well, that's all right. And all the items, I posted the names and everything. I didn't put the locations on where you can find them. Maybe I should. I don't know, but it's just a lot of different places. Most of them are from Lazarus, Genesis, and then Leviathan, which is in the Shatter Mountain Mines at the very end. The big boss. He's like the world boss, level 66. He does drop a really nice amulet and the best in slot sword, in my opinion, or one of, for a tank. So starting out, excuse me, there's my voice again. Starting out. All right, 150 strength. I have 151 right now because I can kind of, I've upgraded my gear score past it, so I have that one little extra point. So just kind of ignore that. 350 constitution. Now that is with the food buff, the roasted rabbit. I put that little image over here, kind of just hanging out like, hey, look at me. This is how we got the 350 con. A lot of people will say, well, Ziesel, why go 350 con if after 300 you don't get any benefits from it? That is not the case. That is actually false. So after 300 con, yes, you do kind of lose out on that. But when you're running an amulet that gives you max health, or gives you a percentage of max health, whenever you bump that max health up, even though you're not, you're getting the negative returns, it's diminishing returns, bro. That's what it's called, bro. All right, bro, or whatever they call it. The thing is that percentage still comes into effect with the amulet. So I personally prefer 350 con on a tank build. Keyword, see what I did there? Tank, and 150 strength. I don't need any more damage. If I'm pushing past 150 and I'm pushing into 200, that's pushing into the category of a bruiser. A bruiser and a tank are two different things, and you don't need to classify yourself as a tank. You can say, hey, I'm slightly tanky, all right, or I'm going bruiser, but you are not a full-fledged tank. You cannot soak up large amounts of damage when you have 250 strength. You're gonna get out tanked by an actual tank. Okay, I'm not trying to have a pissing contest here. I'm just telling you they're called different things. All right, so moving forward and past that, sword and shield. You'll have a picture of this kind of to go over that, but some things that I want to cover are whenever you're looking over your actual stats, and I'll pull up the game to kind of show you guys this. So going based off of what I run, sword and shield. The final attack in your light chain inflicts a 20% slow. So what I do is I run the opportunist, and the Achilles heel. So you're applying that slow, and it's kind of, you get to do more damage with that. And that kind of goes hand in hand. So you don't have to bump up more strength. You get a little bit of extra damage just off of the slow you're applying, which is really a support for your DPS and mages and everything. So, and then obviously, you know, your 15% physical armor, your stamina damage is reduced by 15%. A real big thing that I wanted to go over and point out: recuperation, all incoming healing and regeneration increased by 10%. Well, when you have the best in slot amulet and earring, this is really going to come in handy. And I'll kind of link back over to that for you guys. So moving over here, just kind of real quick touching base on these. I run Shockwave, Clear Out, and Path of Destiny. A lot of people like to run all kinds of different things. This is what I like personally, and I find that works really well for me. And I don't really find myself, if I'm playing duels or war, PvP, OPR, or even running a dungeon, doing a lot of PvE, I never ever change my, I don't ever have to change my class. Like I don't really have to edit it. The only thing I have to do is change out my items, or maybe my amulet, or my earrings, or my sword, shield, maybe throw some luck gear on, or what abilities I might be running. Now, if I'm running hammer or great axe, I'll change, you know, items off of that, but I don't ever change my skill trees. I leave them the same. So, reap, charge, maelstrom. That's what I prefer. And like I said, you guys will have this image. You can look it over. So, starting out, a basic budget build, but the best place to start. So if you're new to tanking, or you're looking into tanking and not wanting to spend a whole lot of money, but you do have some coin to throw around, and you'll see a lot of people saying, you know, they don't agree with this, but rolling heavy armor is very, very expensive, and it's hard to get what you want on it. So Void Bent is probably the best route to take out the gate. And if you're a newer player coming along, you want to use the Ill-Gotten Gain earring for a while so you can get that replaced with something else. And I'll show you where you can get those from, or tell you the name of them. The beginning, it's really great to start off with. And the Infinity Crystal, that is, there's still people that are still rocking that to this day, because it has the health, divine, and fortified. And from my understanding, you cannot get that on, or at least I've tried, and it won't work. I can't get that. I can't get that. You can get the fortifying, where if you break down below a certain 50% health, you'll gain fortify. But I cannot get the fortify you apply lasts 14% longer. I've tried, and it's unfortunate, but alright, moving past that. Don't want to spend too much time on the beginning stages, because like I said, Void Bent heavy armor, throw some onyx in it, or whatever else, whatever you might need to resist, but you already have a ton of resistance in it. It's great, and it's perfect, cheap, super easy, and you'll be able to tank just really fine. Like, you won't have an issue, and you can hold yourself in battles, you can hold yourself in duels and things like that. You know, you're not going to win every single duel as a tank, you're not supposed to, but you can definitely stand up for yourself and not feel I guess you're gonna push out a little bit of damage, but also you're not gonna, it's like an equal balance. Okay, so people understand if you're a tank. Now, this is the sword I was talking about that's best in slot for a tank. Timekeeper's Hand. This sword is so amazing, and I spent hours and hours and hours grinding for this sword drop, and recently just got it. So keen, crit chance, taunting, because I mean, you can put whatever you want in it, but I only use taunting, the Carnelians, and Malachite. Malachite is going to be great for PvP and duel. I only recommend Malachite. But anyways, we're just going to kind of go off this as PvE. Enchanted, light and heavy attacks deal 9.7% more damage. That needs to be on there. Refreshing move. That is the best on a tank, because we all know Sword and Shield has a really quick auto. You can auto those 3 hits really fast, and it's going to cool your abilities down every time. And we already know Defiant Stance has a like an hour long cooldown, it feels like. So this shield, legendary shield, this actually came out of a cache from arenas. This is a only one of the few legendary shields that I've seen. Don't expect to get it anytime soon. Very fortunate, but the refreshing ward, I love running refreshing ward. It is one of my favorite because I'm tanking, so I'm constantly getting hit, constantly getting cooldowns, while reducing my cooldowns with every time I swing my sword. So I don't see a lot of downtime for abilities. They're always up constantly. Now what I did was add my other sword that I personally like, and this is kind of different. This one doesn't have any cooldowns, but it has Plague Strikes, Rogue, and Contagious Reverse Stab. This is super helpful, especially against if you're dueling against someone that has Sustain or Healing. Whenever you heavy attack them and you inflict them with disease, and then shield bash them and stun them and get behind them, you're already going to do more damage to them from that 19% more backstab, and they have reduced healing. So with that being said, anything that they afflict on you, whether it be disease themselves or bleed, poison, burn, anything like that, Contagious Reverse Stab, when you inflict that back to them, it starts all over, and it's really nice to remove buffs off yourself. Now if you're dueling or you're in OPR and you reverse stab and you hit 4 people, you just provided all of those active buffs that were on, or debuffs that were on you. They just got sent over to all 4 of those people from the beginning and started over. So now this sword, or this shield, that's kind of my go-to because it has the sturdy and refreshing on it, and 15 constitution. It's just kind of my favorite tanking shield. I really like it a lot. It's a really good shield. I mean, shields, as long as they have sturdy, because I don't run like hardy or anything like that, or nimble. I just don't feel like it's necessary on the tank, because that little percentage isn't gonna, if you're tanky and you're out of stamina, you have enough health to where when you drop your shield, you can take a couple of hits, let your stamina rebuild all the way back up, and then put your shield back up, and by then your healer is going to re-heal you. I mean, it's kind of I feel like it's a wasted perk to put extra stamina on you when there's other things that you can do. And that's how I look at it. A lot of people don't, and they'll argue, would argue it with me, or argue with you or whoever, and this is just why I feel like that works really well for me. So now these are all dropped items right here. Smoothbone Ring, Black Metal Stud, Eyes in the Abyss, Doom's Chance Earring. These are great items. Best in slot technically for tanks, depending on your build and how you do things. Except I have a preference on my earring and my ring, and I'll kind of go over that. But these all drop from the dungeons, and from Eyes in the Abyss drops from it just went blank. Leviathan in Shatter Mountain. That's the one I was talking about in the mines. So it's really good. The Purify is nice. The health is nice, but still not technically best in slot according to me, because it doesn't have Divine on it. And remember, we're already running the 10% increased healing incoming right here. So you want that Divine. That kind of stacks. Now these are also see, there's three weapons up here, I believe, that are dropped. This one obviously comes from Genesis. We got Fury, Weapon Master's Chosen. These are all really great items that drop. And these are, you can look over these. These are also items that drop. These are from Lazarus. Just kind of going over these real quick. These are really good. They all have refreshing ward on them. I mean, literally, you're getting cooldown after cooldown after cooldown when you're getting hit. And those skeletons, you know, they swing them swords like nunchucks. Curiosity Greed, it's a pretty good sword. I don't think it's the best in slot. Not over the Timekeepers by any means. Because if you're running Carnelians, I don't feel like you really need 19% hated. Or 14% hate. Sorry, excuse me. Now, a lot of people argue with me that Fury is the best. I don't think so for a tank, maybe for a DPS. And the reason is Sundering Shockwave. Whenever you apply that rend, you're reducing targets' damage absorption. Let me get it out there. Damage absorption by 9.5% for 10 seconds. Well, let's say you're an OPR, right? And you're in the doorway and y'all are duking it out with, there's like 7 people around you, enemies. And you use Shockwave. And you just rended those 7 people around you. That's going to help your team out more so than you getting a crit and it being negated anyways. Trust me, that rend lasting for that long, it's going to assist your team more than you getting a than you running like crit or anything like that. So that's why I prefer, me personally, I run a little bit different. I run more for debuffs, crowd control, and so forth. So, and then the Woods Warden, that again, that's a really cool one. Keen, vicious, keenly fortified. I like the fortification, but I still prefer the Sundering Shockwave. So now it's just saying collect your gear, create a build for each enemy damage type. So obviously you've got your Lost, your Beast types, Angry Earth, Corrupted, Ancient. As you casually play the game, you'll acquire those items more easily and just kind of go from there. Now my personal build, it's very dynamic. Just want to relay that information again, and I've provided you guys in this image a lot of the items that I have and what I run and what I kind of swap out. So on my personal build, what I run, like I was kind of showing you guys, Plague Strikes and the Contagious Reverse Stab. It's really good for dueling, because normally when you're dueling someone, they're inflicting some type of debuff on you, where it's a bleed or a rend or anything like that, and I can usually backstab, get my cooldowns going, because you're always going to run that backstab. It deals a lot of damage. Or not backstab, but the reverse stab, but I don't know why I call it backstab. And then the Warhammer ability, I usually run Sundering Shockwave, just because when I'm using that Shockwave, it stuns them and it also applies that rend, so then that's going to butter them up a little bit more for me. And then when I hit them with that sword, just deals a lot more damage. And cool thing is, with me running repulsing clear out, they're gonna try and get close and use their combos, and I hit them with that clear out, it's gonna knock them back really far. Or if I'm getting low on stamina, clear them out, I can rebuild my stamina, or even pop Defiant Stance in that time of using that clear out. I'll hit clear out, pop Defiant Stance, swap over, hit Defiant Stance, and then also I'm gonna get a heal once that Defiant Stance leaves. So it kind of goes hand in hand with why I run the amulet with Divine, and I'll go back over that. Now, on my ring, this is something a little bit different. You won't usually see tanks running this, but I personally do. So I run a 25 con refreshing ward. You might see that, that's normal. But I run Infected and then the Keen Awareness. So that Infected, normally you wouldn't see that on a tank build. But since we apply disease with this sword, okay, that's why I'm running that Infected. So that disease that we're applying for 8 seconds is getting increased by an additional 14% in length and time. So that's really helpful, and especially if you're the front line and you're doing OPR and like that, you're hitting people with heavy attacks with that sword over and over and over, and you change up your targets. You're inflicting all individuals with that disease. That's gonna hinder them. That's gonna hinder their heals. It's gonna hinder any type of healing or anything like that. So it really is, I guess, overlooked, and a lot of people just think the generic tank build, you have to run this or this, otherwise you're not a tank. That's not necessarily true. So the reason I put the two right here, kind of give you an idea and a breakdown. So one has resilient, one does not, and one has invigorated and one does not. So that's kind of what I got, I guess, the RNG gods gave me. And then also one's 25 strength, one's 25 con, one provides more physical armor. So I equip it accordingly. And also if I'm running Warhammer, then I'm not going to use the one on the right. because obviously it has Maelstrom, so it's not gonna be any use to me. If I'm running the Great Axe, then I'll equip that one. So like I said, you build accordingly, kind of slot what you're building at that time or what you're using, and it just really helps. Leeching Path of Destiny, that's a really nice perk. And then we've got Heavy Helm of the Soldier and Void Bent Sepatons. So the reason I've got those Void Bent boots, I haven't currently been able to craft any that are best in slot for me. So it's, you know, it's I mean, I've been trying, but so it's extremely hard to get some of your perfect rolls best in slot. It's very expensive, costs a lot of Asmodeum, and it can encumber you with a lot of time management, because if you spend all that coin, you have to go farm it and you have to go make it back, and sometimes you don't roll good enough stuff. And also the amount of materials it takes for heavy armor, and then it's just not in high demand because people don't want to tank, or they don't know how to. I mean, I've been told tanking is one of the harder class rolls to do. I mean, I don't know. I've only done tank, and that's all I plan to do. It's all I really enjoy. But all right, so now looking over these are kind of optional. So this Amulet of the Century, Alacrity, that part is optional. You can run other things. I like to run the haste because as a tank you're already super kind of like slow. You not that you run slower because you're a tank, but you don't have a lot of mobility. You can't roll around. You can't do the 3 rolls back to back to back. You can only really dodge out of the way. So when you do get that haste, it feels like a big oof to you. It's like a ooh, okay. So when you get that haste and you're applying a slow whenever you're attacking someone, you're extending that haste by 14%. You really feel it. It makes a big difference, and it kind of helps you chase someone down and stun them or rend them or whatever it might be doing. Or maybe you're trying to get somewhere to go peel for someone. You're peeling for a healer. You're peeling for a DPS. You need to move a little bit faster. So when you have that haste on you, it really helps. That Divine and Health, that is an absolute best in slot for any amulet, in my opinion. And then with that being said, again, the earring that I run, Healthy Toast, Refreshing Toast, and Regenerating. Now let's look this over. When you drink a mana potion, gain 9.6% of your max health. And a lot of people kind of wonder, well, why would a tank even run mana potions? Because I run them. I run mana potions in my number 4 slot. And people, I'm sure if you've watched my videos, people may have been wondering about that. But that is why I run mana potions. For one, they are super cheap, and 2, they drop like crazy. But 3, number 3 being the whatever, it is not on the same cooldown as your potion. So the other one that you can do is like a 12% chance of it not consuming your potion. Okay, well, I can pop a health potion and then drink a mana potion. So I get 2 potions technically with that. That is a under the radar best in slot earring for, I feel like, any class, but especially my build. Because again, the mana potion, even though it's 9.6% of your max health, you're running the 10% on the perk tree, and then you're running the 9.7% on the divine. So you're getting 19.7% more incoming healing from those effects. So that really, it really adds up. I promise you that. So now, Timekeeper's Hand. That's another. That was the sword I kind of went over. Just the best cooldown sword there is. Now these are some optional things right here. This is a really good tank one. You have 9.5% more max stamina. That is pretty much a good option if you don't have the other ones to go with. And I mean, I'm not saying that anyone is specifically better than the other, but again, this is what I prefer, and you can give it a try. But that's not a bad ring at all to definitely go with. One with the So I rolled this one. It has a refreshing ward, has invigorated. It's got corrupted ward on it. It's still a good helmet. It's better. Personally, I think it's better than the Void Bent to an extent, just because of the refreshing ward. You know, I'm gonna be taking a lot of damage, and a lot of hits from people, but it probably breaks even because it has that wasted slot. Well, it's not wasted because when they come out with the mutated corruption dungeon for us, accelerated defiant stance, that's huge. That is really helpful because when you pop that defiant stance, you take off, man. It helps you when you're about to go into battle or about to go into war. You pop it and you run in, you got that movement speed to get on point. So, but yeah, just kind of looking over these. Repulsing shield bash, 15 strength, 10 constitution, kind of breaks even. Stamina recovery, health, and void protection. That's really good if they have a lot of void gauntlets and doing a lot of void damage. It does not have divine. That's why I don't personally like it. So I'd have to swap out some things. But that stamina recovery is really useful when you're a tank, because if you're holding your shield up and you're out of stamina, break down, and you're about to die, or you feel like you're about to die at 50%, you're going to gain all that stamina back and kind of be able to block in and get out. That's the shield I already went over. Now this is a really good sword too, right here. I mean, this is I crafted this one. So keenly fortified. Now the reason I'm not big on the keenly fortified is because on critical gain 10% fortified for 3 seconds, but it has a 10-second cooldown. Now on our sword, the sword didn't have a cooldown. Like it didn't have a not the sword didn't have a cooldown, but the plague strike, the disease, it didn't have a cooldown. It's always up constantly and everything. So I feel like that's more helpful in my opinion for the team and everybody else versus the 10% fortification for 3 seconds. I mean, you're already tanky, so you could stack it with some other things, but if I could get an amulet that would allow me to extend my fortify still, and get the god rolls on it, and use that keenly fortified sword, then I would definitely roll that. But until then, I don't think it's worth it. Now, if you're not running a hammer or you're not applying rend with any of your weapons, then I think this would be really good if you're not going to go with the whole disease setup build that I have here. That rend that you're applying with your heavy attacks for 7 seconds, that's really cool. However, again, 12-second cooldown. That's why I'm still going back to that main sword, the plague strikes. I think it's just more beneficial for the team. So, and I know this can be overwhelming when you do look over this, but it's kind of telling you as a tank, you need to understand what peel and proper positioning looks like and what your role is. You need to understand that you have to be selfless and willing to die in certain situations, whether if you have to be committed and go all in and not worried about taking that damage, because that's your job. You go in and soak up as much damage as you can. There was a time we were defending Everfall, and I was pretty much one of the only tanks, and I ran full con, no strength, and I sat on B point with 20,000 health, and all I did was hold my shield up and fortify everybody around me, with 30% reduction. And I literally died only like 3 times, but I held that point over and over and over, and I would swap over to my hammer, clear out, knock everybody off the points, put my shield back up, and I was unkillable. And you have to think, I'm also wasting a lot of people's time and abilities because they're trying to kill me, and it's taking more than 1, 2, or 3, or 4 people to kill me at once, and they're wasting all of that time and focus and attention when it could be elsewhere on like a healer or DPS or whatever. But instead they're focusing all on the tank, who's just blocking it, and they're just wasting all that time. So tanks are very vital, they're very important, and they're overlooked in a lot of situations. But I definitely want you guys to take this image and kind of look over it, look at all the builds that you can kind of create. But what you need to make sure is that whenever you are doing a tank build, that you're stacking your perks. whether it be refreshing ward or you know, if you dodge a lot, if you're more of a medium. But I don't really think you can be a medium armor tank. I think you have to be full heavy and soak up a lot of damage, and I don't think you should be over 150 strength. And then in wars and situations like that, you should be even less. I think you should be like 50 or 100, maybe even none, maybe 5. So, but yeah, definitely look this over, guys. And if I missed anything, I apologize. And kind of just tell me what you guys would like to see, and if you have any questions or want to know anything about tanking, and definitely leave a comment. I'll be glad to help. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.